Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Marlborough Magazine. I'm Dan Ginden.
And I'm Susan Laufer.
And we've got snow. I don't like snow.
You need to learn to love the snow.
One storm, and I'm done. I'm ready to move to Florida. I don't like it.
I went skiing.
Yeah,
already.
Of course you did. You were skiing when it was still green on the hills. I saw you up there.
It was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it was fun. All sorts of fun. You ready for the holidays?
I'm ready. Yeah. I think I finished my shopping for you.
Oh, for me?
Yes,
good.
yes.
Well, that's
There's
the
a lot.
one.
There's quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yes.
I like to open.
Yes.
Well, I can do that while I'm stuck in my house because there's too much snow outside. You know what I mean? Are we allowed to say Merry Christmas anymore?
I think
Are we
we
not
should.
allowed to say Merry Christmas?
I think
because
we
I'm a
should.
guy who likes to say Merry Christmas.
Let's say it.
I'm into Happy Holidays, but Merry Christmas seems appropriate.
I think we need to say it.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas, everybody.
Okay.
Well, we have a new year approaching, and a new year always seems to bring about changes, hopes, and dreams. 2006 will bring a new mayor to the city of Marlborough, who will be in charge of others' hopes and dreams.
On January 2nd, a new mayor will be sworn in to the city of Marlborough. That new mayor will be Nancy Stevens. Stevens has lived in Marlborough for 14 years with her husband Dan, daughter Kelsey, and son Danny. With Kelsey looking at colleges and Danny attending Marlborough High School, the mayor-elect felt the timing was right for a run at the city's highest seat.
Time was very right for me in my personal life. It was right for my kids. Being older, I'm concerned about them, with after school and things like that, but I think with my daughter before she leaves for college, it's going to help. She drives, obviously, so right now it's great because she can take her brother places, and I think it's a nice transition for a couple of months to have my daughter still home while I start this new job, and a balance. I've always been very good at trying to balance what I do and how many nights a week I'm out. My husband travels with work, so we've always tried to coordinate schedules and say, okay, he's gone, next week he's gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, well, my daughter works Thursday. I've got to make sure my son can get to basketball and things like that. And I don't plan on changing any of that. I mean, first and foremost, my kids come first.
Right.
And I've set personal guidelines for how many nights a week I'm out, and that just depends on what's going on with the family. When my husband's in town and what my daughter's schedule is and things like that.
So after one term on the school committee and another as a city councilor at large, Stevens found herself making campaign speeches and shaking hands as a candidate for mayor.
Let's go back to election night. I want to talk about election night. I saw you at times when the votes were being counted up. You looked a little nervous. How did that feel, just standing outside of the city clerk's office waiting to find out if you won or not?
Well, actually, I had been at my house with my campaign manager and her husband, my husband and my kids, and that was it. And we had someone at every precinct getting the results and calling them in. By about 8:15, I knew it looked good, but there were 2 wards that had to be counted by hand because they had write-ins. So it was about 8:40 when we got the results. Now, obviously, they weren't official. We did the same thing on primary night, and we were off by 6 votes. So obviously, it wasn't official until it gets down to the city clerk's office. So I knew when I got down to City Hall that something dramatic was going to have to happen because I was up by about 450 votes, I think it was, when I left the house, when we had the unofficial results. So getting down there, I was a little nervous because you never know, they were unofficial, but I felt good. I was nervous. I was really nervous. Yeah. But it was an excitement and kind of a surreal moment because if you had asked me 6 months ago whether I'd be standing there election night after running for mayor, I would have said absolutely not.
Yeah.
It was a little surreal.
Now, when the vote became official, I know our Maurice Lewis grabbed you rather quickly, but in those few moments, those first few moments, how did that feel? I mean, you obviously knew you won, but it couldn't have totally sunk in already.
Oh, it didn't. I don't think it really sunk in for about a week. You're on this high. I went to yesterday to a new mayor's seminar with the Mass Municipal Association yesterday, and we were talking about the election. There were a couple of people that had been in the same situation, and you talk about this first couple days of such a high, and because the election, the campaigning is so physically and emotionally draining. you're out every night, you're on every moment of every day, because you never know who you're going to run into that you've never met before. So the couple of days after, everybody's calling to congratulate you and everything, and you're still on this high, and then it's kind of like reality sets in, and you say, okay, I've got a lot of work in front of me.
Yeah.
So, we had a couple of days and had a great party the Saturday after election. I had told my campaign committee, my election committee, that we were going to have a party. I'd sent out invitations prior to the election, and it was a cheers or tears party. So either we were going to be really happy or we were going to have tears. And we had this party that Saturday night, and I thanked my committee, and it was great. It was kind of a way to come off that high and thank everybody. And then by the following Monday, it was like, all right, we need to get down to work, and we need to focus on what's ahead.
Some people believe Stevens' rise to the position of mayor was a quick one, for there always seemed to be an unwritten rule in Marlborough that you had to put in a certain amount of time and energy into other positions before you could run for mayor.
You did one-term school committee. You went right to at-large and became the chairperson of the finance committee, too, which was a big thing. Arthur Vigil held that for so many years. And now, bang, you're mayor.
Yeah.
I mean, have you turned around and thought, wow, this happened so quickly?
It's funny. I never have a plan. People say this to me all the time. Was this in your plan? I never have a plan. I truly believe in timing and opportunity. And it's personal timing, it's timing on the position and the opportunity that's there. I didn't know I was going to run for school committee 6 years ago. And when I decided to run for council 2 years ago, I was going to originally run for the Ward 3 seat. And it was because Mary Jo Naraki was not going to run for re-election. So the Ward 3 seat was going to be up. I lived in Ward 3. I was going to run for the Ward 3 seat. So that got me into saying, okay, you know what? The opportunity's there to run for council. And after talking to Scott Schaefer, Scott and I had casually known each other, but never really sat down and talked about issues and what we believed in.
Yeah.
So what we did was we had a discussion, and when we were talking, we realized that we believed in the same things.
Yeah.
At the time, there was one of the councilors was not running for re-election. Actually, it was Mayor Hunt, who obviously his seat was going to be vacant. There were 3 incumbents running for at-large. I decided to take the chance and say, you know what, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to have someone great representing Ward 3 and to run at large. And I had run a citywide campaign as a school committee member, although it was different. It was a little more intense as a counselor than it was for school committee, but it was an opportunity. And that's exactly what I felt happened with the mayor's race. I believe timing and opportunity were there for me.
Yeah. What makes someone, and obviously you can speak from your own experiences, what makes someone want to get into the local politics or public office? I mean, you have such an opportunity to be scrutinized for the smallest things, and you're trying to make one group happy and then you make the other group unhappy. What makes you want to serve the community?
I talked earlier about the mayor's, new mayor's training that I went to yesterday, and one of the mayors, the veteran mayor, said, if you get through a day and you don't get someone angry, then you're not doing your job, because that's the nature of the game. And I thought that was pretty poetic. I said, oh, now I know what I'm looking forward to. I don't know why someone gets into, honestly, state and federal politics, because to me it's so global and so big that you really don't see the changes that the decisions you make, how they affect people on a personal level. You get involved and you want to be able to make a change and make a difference. I think as a parent you can attest to that.
Yeah.
There's nothing more important than making sure that you provide for your children and you make their life better than yours. I mean, every parent wants their child to have a better life than they had. And getting involved, and I decided that education was very important to me. My children were young, so I got involved in the school committee because it was an opportunity to really affect change of the schools that my children went to. And then when I got involved, I was always at the school committee meetings fighting for richer school. We have to have more funding. Everything in my little world revolved around that one school. And then I realized that there was a whole other system out there, that I couldn't be advocating just for my child, that every other parent felt the same way at every other school. So I ran for school committee to say, okay, if I'm going to complain, I should be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. And then the same thing happened when I ran for council. I was always advocating for the schools, but you know what? There were seniors out there. There were roads that needed to be repaired. There was a balance that needed to happen. So that's how I got involved in that. And I wanted to see some tangible results of my efforts. And I wanted to walk into the grocery store and talk to people and have them say to me, you know, I don't like what you're doing here, or thank you for taking care of this issue for me. I need to have feedback about what I'm doing, positive or negative. So I think, to me, the local politics and the local elected offices, I believe you have a much better opportunity to really affect the lives of the people that you serve, rather than on a state or federal level.
Right.
You really can see what you're doing.
Yeah. Now, I have to bring up the fact that you are the first female mayor in Marlborough. Now, we're in a time where women hold positions of power, okay? That's not unlikely. But do you realize the history you are making? Because I don't know if many people, if you stopped them on the street, know who the 10th mayor was of Marlborough, the 11th mayor. You're going to be remembered for as long as Marlborough exists, the first female mayor.
Yeah. The other day, my son and I were in City Hall, and we were walking through, and he was looking at all the old mayor's pictures. You know, the former mayors, and some of the really old pictures on the first floor. And then we went up to the second floor, and you start seeing the current mayors, the more recent mayors. Yeah. And he looked at me, he says, "Your picture going to be up there?" And I was standing with someone else in City Hall, and they said, "Yeah, and your mom's going to have the first female picture up there." To me, it was an issue that never came up for me. I didn't see it as, oh, I want to be the first female mayor. I just want to be mayor.
Yeah.
It wasn't the female part of it, but I think it's more important to my daughter. I mean, my daughter thinks it's fantastic, and if that's a role model for my daughter and girls growing up, that they can achieve anything, just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done, then I feel good about that. I don't put any. You said it makes history, and I'll always be remembered for that. I guess that doesn't mean that much to me, the female. I want to be remembered as a good mayor.
Yes.
And I want to, whether I serve 1 term, 3 terms, whatever, I want to be remembered as a good mayor, and a caring mayor, and a compassionate mayor that made a difference.
You know, not every city is lucky enough to have a 100-year-old citizen just like Marlborough does. Sophie Burke sat down with John Bonatadovas and talked to him about all the changes he's seen over his 100-year history.
You ask me how it feels to be 100 years old. And the Bible, Noel, asked God bless the Lord, he wanted to live in 900 years. And when the 900 years were up, I bless the Lord said, Noel, how's it feel to live in 900 years? And he says, it's just like stick your head out the window, look around, and it's going by. Fast. So 2,000 years ago, to 1900, the world didn't change. I happened to look at the Bible the man bought me, and I found the women, well as men, cut the wheat with a little scythe. And to think that I lived it. When I was in Italy, they cut the wheat the same way, men and women. They take it in this place, like it made a little hill in this flat. And I had 3 animals trimmed around. I stand in the middle, a little hole in the middle. And after a while, I switch them around. The one that was outside, I bring them inside. And the one that was inside, I bring it outside. My father used to tell me, you work on the railroad. And the They used to work 72 hours a week. Every 3 companies, they have a superintendent. Each company have a boss. And the company that the boss lay the most track, the superintendent give him a cigar to the boss, not to the worker. And when they go home, the wife understood he had a hard day. Though the lady had a time too, because she had to start to cook from scratch. Peel the potatoes, boil them, the same as the beans, and so on. I remember men go around with the horse and buggy, and he had a bell go around the street. And he used to holler, 10 cents with ice, save $1 with the food. 10 cents with ice, save $1 with the food. And so they used to work very hard them days. And then came the electric light to turn the night into a day. That's around the beginning of 1800 or 1850. And about 50 years later, they invented a bulb to turn the night into a day. And kept going until they designed a combustion engine. After designing the combustion engine, the world opened up all new world. The automobile come in, the trucks and so on and so on. And then there came everything electric. You go in the kitchen and you find electric light, the refrigerator, which was invented around the 1930s, and you find electric stove, and you find the microwave, you find electric toaster, everything electric. This is all new world. Electric oven. And so we used to have a flannel underwear in the winter because little coal or wooden stove dies around midnight, 1 o'clock, and then you have no heat. Today, it's a different world altogether. Better world. And it'll be even better tomorrow. Better medicine, people live much longer.
Yeah.
So, like I said, all invention, but the great one of all, when we saw the men walk on the moon. You don't walk like we walk on the air. But they kept walking, coming towards the camera. We couldn't believe our eyes. There's many songs about the moon, and then all of a sudden we saw men walking on the moon. It's just fantastic. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, what else can you say? You have an all new world today, and it'll be even much better tomorrow. Speaking of the young people, it's a little hard because the machinery does man's work. But they have to remember that the tongue has no bone. But could hurt more than a broken bone. Once bad words come out of our mouth, it's like to take a pillow full of feather up on the hill on a windy day. Open the pillow and let the feather fly near and far. Then you say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to take them all back. You can't do it. So it is when bad words come out and hurt that dear one. We might be forgiven, but it's hard to forget. So compliment and praise and respect bring a sweet reward. And it also be said, this lady was a great writer. I said that when they honored me Senior of the Year. She said, people everywhere looking for happiness is true, but to find and keeping is a difficulty thing to do. Difficulty because we think that happiness comes only in places where wealth and famous abound. And so we go searching for palace of pleasure, seeking recognition and monetary treasure, unaware that happiness is just a state of mind. It's in the reach of everyone who takes time to be kind. For making others happy, you'll be happy too. The happiness you give to others comes back to shine on you. Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Yeah. So we pass this way only once. Anything good we could do, any decent pleasure we could have, let us do it now, for we shall not pass this way again.
Every December, residents look forward to the tree lighting ceremony at Union Common.
And Santa Claus, Mayor Hunt, and the Marlborough Fire Department made their usual entrance.
What a wonderful crowd. I'd just like to say, when I pulled around the corner with Santa, he was so surprised to see all the people and all the children. So this was a fabulous turnout. So give yourself all a big hand for coming out tonight. This is wonderful. Thank you very much. And I'd just like to thank everybody, Galoni and Diane Helper from my office, and everybody, the DPW that puts this event on every year. It's a lot of work, and it's certainly worth it, because when we get these type of crowds, we know we're doing something right. I'd like to thank Santa for coming down to the North Pole for a little pre-visit for Christmas. Let's give him a hand. And then we'll put this tree on, okay?
Christmas tree, oh Christmas
Once again, we've had bitter cold, we've had snow, but this wind is brutal.
Well, they were saying we might be getting rain, and I prefer the wind and the cold. It's a winter holiday festival, and we can take the wind.
Yeah. Now, all the prep work that you do for this, does it all come together and it just make you smile when you see all the people here, especially with the kids, everyone having a good time?
Absolutely. It is a lot of work to put together, but when you see them come here and the kids are smiling, they're looking at the animals, they're going to see Santa very shortly. All that pressure just goes away, and you can really enjoy the rest of the night.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of the night? I mean, you must love all of it, but what's your absolute favorite part?
I love watching the kids, and when we brought in the animals the first year we tried it, it was watching their faces and then watching them see Santa. Yeah. The music is wonderful. Everyone who contributes does a wonderful job, but I think looking at the kids, they're just having a great time, and that's what it's really all about.
Here comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane. Vixen and Blixen and all his reindeers pulling on the reins. Bells are ringing, children singing, all is merry and bright. So hang your stockings and say your prayers, 'cause Santa Claus comes tonight.
You seem to come here to Marlborough every year. Why do you come to Marlborough?
Well, it's a good little city to come to, and everybody's so nice. And look at the crowd here tonight. Yeah. This is why Santa likes to visit Marlborough.
Now all these kids...
It's a country kind of city.
That's right. All these little kids standing around, they've been good this year?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Has everybody been good this year? Look at them all. Yes, they have, and you can tell by the smiles on their face.
Right. Well, thanks, Santa.
And thank you, and happy holidays to you.
Right down Santa Claus Lane. Vixen and Blixen and all his reindeer pulling on the reins. Bells are ringing, children singing, all is merry and bright. Hang your stockings and say your prayers, 'cause Santa Claus comes tonight.
So, Dan, lots of changes coming for our station in 2006.
That's right. We Channel 10, M10, as you've all known it, for about the last 4 years, going through a little bit of a face change. We're bringing back the old WMCT name and logo to Channel 10. We're going to move our shows like Marlborough Magazine that we do in-house here, that the staff does, taking those that were on Channel 8, and we're moving them over to Channel 10. So that basically we're giving the Marlborough residents, the access producers of Marlborough, the run of Channel 8, which could be a scary thing. But M8 will still be there, and so will Susan's Story Time, Casey's Corner, shows like that. And Channel 10 also will be housing a new weekly news program, which you will see Susan and I on from time to time until we find better people than us to do the show, right?
Wow.
Well, better people than me. I mean, she's a superstar.
Gosh.
I'm just here to fill in.
Glad you got that straight.
Yes. And then also for January, the next magazine you'll be seeing after this one in January, we're actually going to have a Marlborough Magazine marathon. We'll show you some of your old favorite magazine shows. We've gotten emails online telling us what shows and what pieces people like the most, so we're going to try and get those together and run a marathon of such or sorts in January. And then we'll be back in February with a fresher show.
Sounds great.
Right?
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan, Stan.
Well, enjoy your holiday season, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this issue of Marlborough Magazine. I'm Susan Laufer.
And I'm Dan Ginden. Happy holidays, and for those of you out there, Merry Christmas too.
Merry Christmas.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.